Hello Nigerians, it is good to have you on this program. We have breaking news. Simon Ekpa, the factional leader of the indigenous people of Biafra and self-acclaimed Prime Minister of the Biafra Republic government in exile, has reportedly been arrested in Finland. According to a local report, Finnish-Nigerian Ekpa has been detained by the District Court of Päijät-Häme on charges of public incitement to commit a crime with terrorist intent. In a statement released on Thursday, the Central Criminal Police in Finland announced the arrest of the 5 individuals on suspicion of terrorist activities. The main suspect was detained for public incitement to commit a crime with terrorist intent, while the other 4 were apprehended for financing a terrorist crime. Now let me read the statement very shortly. I quote, "The detention demands are related to the preliminary investigation in which a Finnish citizen of Nigerian background, born in the 1980s, is suspected of public incitement to commit a crime with terrorist intent. The police suspect that the man has promoted his efforts from Finland by means that have led to violence against civilians and authorities, as well as other crimes in the region of southeast Nigeria. The man had carried out this activity, among other things, on his social media channels. 4 other persons are suspected of financing the aforementioned activity. All 5 suspects of the crime have been arrested during the beginning of the week. International cooperation has been carried out during the preliminary investigation." End of quote. Before his arrest, Simon Ekpa has been facing accusations of terrorism committed by his militants, otherwise called the Biafra Liberation Army. Since the rearrest of the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, in the mid-2021, Mr. Ekpa has been steering the wheels of IPOB leadership. Despite being condemned and sacked by IPOB's Director of State, which is the mainstream leadership of the Separatist group, Mr. Ekpa has been styling himself as a de facto leader, which means that he is the real power behind the throne. This expression is backed up by the fact that when 2 inconsistent orders were issued by the DOS and Mr. Ekpa, the latter's command would prevail. By all accounts, Mr. Ekpa is the reason why the Monday sit-at-home is still ongoing in the southeastern Nigeria. The sit-at-home, which has contributed to the loss of millions of naira in revenue, as well as the lives and property, has been active since 2021, when IPOB announced it through his secretary, Emma Powerful, as a non-violent protest against the detention of his leader. But after the first observance of the boycott, IPOB demanded it counterproductive and then cancelled it. However, Mr. Ekpa's faction countermanded the order, declaring that the sit-at-home still persisted. On several broadcasts he made on social media, Ekpa warned that the sit-at-home would not cease until the IPOB leader was freed. Southeast governments have used several means, including economic sanctions against those who did not report to work on Mondays, in order to hold the sit-at-home. Unfortunately, the illegal boycott has defied all these measures, as residents still reside in their various homes on Mondays for fear of the unknown gunmen. Mr. Ekpa, who has also been in the wanted list of the Nigerian government, was planning to redeclare the defunct sovereign state of Biafra on December 2, 2024. While some people see him as symbolizing the principles of and antics of the IPOB leader, Nnamdi Kanu, others view him with disdain as somebody who does not represent the Igbo people. Let me start with what our lost brother, Donyin Okupe, said about His Excellency, Mr. Peter Obi. I refer to him as lost because I have yet to understand why and how a reasonable and principled politician would defect to a political party that has become notorious. Donyin Okupe was at the forefront of the obedient movement in 2023. He became one of the apologists of Mr. Peter Obi. Little did we know that Donyin Okupe exemplified what Jesus Christ described in the parable of the sower. In that chapter, some seeds of the sower fell on the rocky places where they did not have much soil. They sprang up quickly because the soil was shallow. But when the sun came up, the plants were scorched and they withered away because they had no root. That is the best way to describe Donyin Okupe. He left the Labour Party claiming to still align with Mr. Obi in spirit, while rooting for President Tinubu. And do you know the funniest thing? If the country is better off now, Donyo Okupe, his defection would be justified. But he embraced the Tinubu's government at a time when the APC government is leading one of the worst administrations in Nigeria's history. Very sad indeed. That is why the president is making changes among members of his staff every week, almost every week. And do not be surprised if the president wakes up one day and sack himself from office and declare himself tired of Nigerians. I'm not going to be surprised. Anyway, it is pleasing to hear that factual document of the policy framework of Mr. Obi has surfaced online. And I believe Donyo Okupe has availed himself of it. Beyond the document, Peter Obi, in retrospect, has tackled Donyo Okupe on two issues he raised, which are Obi's policy framework and then President Tinubu's strategy. First, let's talk about Obi's manifesto. I recall Mr. Obi's hilarious remark on Arise TV when Oseni Rufai inquired about his manifesto. Mr. Obi said that there was no manifesto more powerful than what he uttered on television, which will be documented forever and used to judge him in the future. He even used his family as an example, as he always does. Take a listen.
But there's no better manifesto than what I'm telling you with my mouth now. Because no, they won't forget. It's that one that will show. These days, once you say anything 5 years ago, before you say hello now, even in my house, so when I'm talking now, my children will say that, can we put this on tape? So when I said tomorrow, we're not going to, these holidays, maybe it was, Dad, you told us that in June, everybody's going to go to this place. They will remind me immediately, I said, I said, okay, I promise holidays, let's postpone it. It's not even difficult to have family meeting with a lot of problems because they will tape it and wait for you.
In a second interview, Obi replied Donyo Okupe in retrospect by saying that his manifesto was already practically visibly and clearly established in Anambra State. And indisputably, the framework of this holistic development was contained in what was known as the Anambra Integrated Development Strategy. And the records are there for the world to see.
There's a lot of people say, yeah, Peter Obi is just always making comparisons. That what is his manifesto?
When people talk about my manifesto and my this, I have done it somewhere. I don't need to go and start putting glossy papers.
Where's your manifesto? Where is it? Is there a document? You say you've done it somewhere. Okay, you've done it in Anambra State.
Simple.
So why is Donyo Okupe passionate about stirring up malicious propaganda? Why? Moving forward, in the recent podcast, Obi featured he hinted on his manifesto, basically hinging on the principle that he was not becoming president to, make his fellow politicians happy, but to effect positive development. Have a look.
Not that then when he meets them, it's not that powerful. They're his friends. He will meet them, and they say, "Hi, but your governor." He said, "That's the boy. That's the boy. That boy." I was, and I also tell Mr. President, very respectfully, I didn't promise anybody happiness. It wasn't in my manifesto about happiness. There's people meant to make people happy. People like Chinedu, entertainers, and people in president. We all have different jobs. Government is not entertainment. It is not a Nollywood.
Then, on the second issue of President Tinubu's policy strategy, Peter Obi implicitly alluded to Tinubu's strategy as following in the footsteps of his predecessor. Take a look.
I've never made comment about 1 year in office. The reason why is simple. I would say that President Tinubu have kept to his campaign promises. Throughout the campaign, he consistently maintained that he will continue from where Buhari stopped. And that is done very well. I would say excellent. I'll give him excellent pass mark. And it's very simple. Dollar was 460, is now 1,005. Fuel was 238, is now about 700. Diesel was 844, is now 1,415. A bag of rice is 35,000, is done about 80. A bag of beans was similar, 35, is done about 90. Gari was 27.28, is now 49.50.
That was very funny. That was very funny. Now, looking at these species of P2B, one can say that Donyo Okupe's concerns had already been subsumed under them. What he needs to do is to pick up these speeches, written and oral, and then peruse them if he claims he had no knowledge of them. Thanks for listening. I am Otrese. If you love this video, do not hesitate to hit the like button, make your comments, and then subscribe to the Diaspora Digital Media for more exciting stories. Have a nice day.